Hey, okay. What is your name and what business are you with?
So my name's Jason Vickery, and my day job is over at Title One. So I'm the president over at Title One, and then have the J Foundation, kind of the founder and visionary over at the J Foundation.
That's awesome. So we just wrapped up the summit. Like, feelings are flowing. What are you feeling right now? And what are some good takeaways that you got from all the speakers?
I'm feeling that my brain is about to explode because there was a lot there today, which was awesome. I was just telling the group over here, for me just to go home and go through my notes and process everything. But there's so many great nuggets. Even with Billy. Billy's one of my great friends. We talk a lot, and from him there was a couple things I pulled today that I'm like, oh, I spent a ton of time with Billy and a ton of conversations, and there's still stuff to learn. And so I think that was the theme of the day for me. Is just there's always, as a leader, there's always something to pull and to learn, and there was a lot of that today for sure. So it's good.
Awesome. And so you mentioned Billy, and Billy talked about having one-on-ones and just culture. How do you cultivate culture within the J Foundation with having your Title Facts job as well?
Yeah, so culture is a big one. So I would say at Title One, we talk about culture all the time, and even with Billy, we'll iron sharpens iron, and so we'll have some friendly competition with culture, right? We want to really create an amazing culture. For us, Title One is very different, where we're in 28 counties and 3 states. It's a lot bigger organization, and so for us, it's how do we continue to keep family culture, is what we call it at Title One. So how do we keep family culture as we continue to grow? And we really want to be that big company, but ma and pa feel at the local level. And so family culture is so important for us, Title One. At the foundation, we're still so new, so it's creating a new culture and making sure that we're really particular on what that culture, what do we want it to be. Jamie, our executive director over there, she's queen of culture in a lot of ways, so I don't worry about that too much over there. Yeah.
She's the best person, honestly. Yeah, awesome. So we talked a little earlier about how you do one-on-ones. How do you kind of structure those? Is there any tidbits you can give to leaders trying to start implementing that?
Yeah, so I think as my career is grown, I've done different things with my one-on-ones. Right now at Title One, I've got a group of high-level senior leaders that are good. I've got 5 leaders that report into me, and ultimately when we meet one-on-one, it's their time. And so, I ask them to come to me with what they've got, and we work through that together. And we just really try to be tactical with it, strategic, and solve whatever's on their plate. And sometimes I might meet one-on-one a couple times a week with the leader. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3 weeks. And for us, and just the way I restructured our leadership team there, we're small but mighty. We play fast. We have a lot of freedom to go, and so our one-on-ones they look different for sure than they did probably 3 or 4 years ago.
That's awesome. You kind of shift with the growth of people coming on and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
As your talent, your people start to get better and grow. We have a really young leadership team, and so they've grown the last 2 or 3 years. And once they grow, you can empower them a little bit more and let them run. And so we've got a group that can definitely do that.
That's awesome. So during your keynote, you talked about a new tool that you introduced to us, and then the Mountaintop Journey. Can you just kind of elaborate a little bit on those?
So the self boot check tool is a cool tool. This is really only the second time we've used that at the foundation. Jamie's been really instrumental and passionate about that, and it's a tool that really allows us to, we challenge people all the time to go do a boot check call or boot check moment with other people, but to be able to slow down and actually check in on ourselves and kind of work through that tool. So it's a pretty neat tool, as you saw today. It's pretty user friendly, it's simple, and it really gave us, it's funny, the first 2 were heavy green, right? And then it's like, oh, we got into the nutrition, the movement, the hard ones, right? And it got a little bit more red there, but it really just gives you a quick snapshot on where this group of community leaders was, right? And so whether it's a school, whether it's a team, whether it's a group of community leaders, within a few minutes, really, we can get a snapshot of where we're at. So the Mountain Journey is definitely kind of my personal offense in leadership, and that's been fun to build a lot of that. We run a version of that at Title One. It's been cool to be able to tweak some things and play around with Corey and build some of that out, and really have some different mentors and peers and consultants as we continue to build out the Mountain Journey.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for talking and just having a heart for the J Foundation and implementing it in this community. You've made such a huge impact so far. You and your team, of course, like you guys are one, and so just thank you for everything you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, anytime. Yeah. Yeah.